go. Michael, we can see you super clearly. How are you today? The audience voted and they said they want to see you clearly like this. So we keep this style for you. How are you doing today, Michael?
I am doing super duper, Martin. How are you?
I'm doing great as well. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have some really great topic today. I'm very much looking forward to this show.
We do. Let's welcome our audience. Hello,
Mm.
everybody, and welcome back to AGTP Daily. We go live, as you know, every weekday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time to discuss the most important tech stories in the U.S. Today is Friday, unbelievably, the 15th of May, 2026. Lots to cover, as always, Martin. So let's talk about a few things. One, is OpenAI now going to sue Apple? Do they not have enough to do? What are we doing? Cerebras shares rocketed higher on the IPO.
Mhm.
But we'll talk about what typical performance is like on an IPO anyway, and we'll talk specifically about Cerberus. And then Thrive Capital must have been paying attention to a conversation you and I were having offline because they invested $100 million into Shopify. And
Oh,
let's
they,
talk about that too.
or they didn't pay attention to the conversation and they say, I think differently actually. I will bet
Exactly. I think
differently on it.
differently than Mike. You just gave it away. Now we don't even have to have that conversation. Okay, let's do this. What is going on, Martin, between Apple and OpenAI? Well, let me
Yes.
just summarize stuff where it stands, and then let's talk about our opinion or ask some questions about this. So it appears that OpenAI is exploring some legal options against Apple over their 2024, which feels like a lifetime ago, ChatGPT in Apple Intelligence partnership. The main thing that ChatGPT is complaining about, or the OpenAI is complaining about, is that OpenAI expected Apple's distribution. Remember, you and I talk about this all the time when we talk about Apple. What is their play? Their play is they have 2.5 billion devices out there. We'll get to that as well. But their main complaint is that they expected Apple's distribution to drive more ChatGPT usage, more paid subscriptions, deeper integrations with Siri, all the writing stuff that Apple does, and all of Apple's operating systems, right? So Apple Watch, iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS, I don't know, Disco OS if they come out with the Apple Disco. You don't know what's coming next. Car OS, right? All that kind of stuff. But again, according to OpenAI, those benefits have not materialized. So OpenAI is reportedly working with outside counsel on some possible steps, including a breach of contract notice, though no lawsuit has been filed yet publicly. This, to me, as I just mentioned, looks like a distribution conflict, right? Because Apple, and this is always interesting, right? When you rely on somebody else for distribution, Apple controls the device layer.
Yeah.
And they're very particular about what happens on their devices, right? They also control the user interface, so they can design that any way they want. And in the same way that they partner with Google for search, Apple has potential model choice, right? So they've decided that they're going to make Google search the default thing for all their operating systems. And as we said, they have 2.5 billion devices out in the wild. It's a lot. So again, you and I were not involved in these negotiations, but maybe OpenAI had this belief that access to Apple's, and we like this term, Martin, we use it a lot, to Apple's surfaces was equivalent, and who knows what they were negotiating, but again, the speed with which these markets are moving leads me to believe they were just maybe they just signed a one-page contract that said, Apple distributes this, we're going to work with OpenAI, they told us they're going to input this stuff into all these surfaces, I believe them, check, sign, done. And now they're going oh, it wasn't exclusive, they're not paying us anything, and maybe it's just one of the things that gets plugged into Apple Intelligence and not the only thing. Right. So this is, sorry, go ahead.
No, because just to remind the audience, Apple has signed a deal with Google, right, to put Gemini into Siri and not ChatGPT, right? So maybe this was the trigger.
So that should have triggered the suit right away, I would think. And that happened a couple of months ago. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Martin.
no. So I just wanted to remind this fact of the audience that what did they say? They say for the next WWDC or something like that. They were okay, we are going to put Gemini into Siri, but not now. They said we are going to do it at a later date, and I don't remember the date, but it's approaching, right? And so up until now, it was ChatGPT that we're powering Siri, but basically OpenAI says we don't see that much queries, we don't see that much usage, we don't see what much, what's going on there, and also that doesn't translate into paid subscription, right? And so they are like, okay, there is potentially a breach of contract, and we may sue you.
Yeah, but it's weird though, right? Like they paid no money.
Mm-hmm.
So what is the breach of contract? Like if Apple is still out there having this be a choice on all of their platforms, right?
Yeah.
Like I use ChatGPT on my iPhone, I wouldn't say every day, but almost every day.
So it's not the ChatGPT app; it's the ChatGPT inside of Siri. Because if you ask
No, I understand.
Siri, yeah, so if you ask Siri, hey, what are the top 10 restaurants in Bangkok, for example, okay, Siri cannot do that on its own. So it's using GPT to actually do it, right? So, and that is what is going to be replaced by Gemini tomorrow, basically. Okay, and so that's what makes OpenAI not happy, because they are like, our ChatGPT app is actually better than what you have done through your Siri integration, and so
Right.
our users, they are going through our app and they are not going through the channel that we are giving you access to and you are not paying for, right? But when you're gonna use Google, you are going to pay them, right? And so we are not happy about that, basically.
So this is the big question, right? Is was this deal was this really a commercial deal? Because you just mentioned this, right? Like
Yeah.
no one's paying for anything.
So
And Google,
yeah.
Google, who just let me finish this thought for a
Mhm.
second. Google, who works with Apple on search, pays Apple $20 billion a year to be the default search engine. That's a
Yes.
real commercial agreement. So if Apple had like Bing,
Mm-hmm.
be like a search engine, Google would be like, "This is a
Maybe
breach
not.
of contract. We paid you 20 billion bucks."
So I think yeah, the idea is that OpenAI gave access to ChatGPT for free. That's it. So that's the payment. They provided value, like they provided the tokens for free, basically. I
Right.
think that's the
So
payment.
this is the thing. So the payment, if I put it in
Yeah.
quotes, was just exposure to the iPhones, the iPads, and the
Yes.
Macs. Yeah,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
and
Yes.
probably the watch as well.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah.
Right. And I guess this only made sense for OpenAI if the integration into the Apple ecosystem and into the Apple operating system, although they would never integrate it. The way Apple works is they're never going to put it directly into the operating system, but into their system, that would convert some Apple users. So I think it's Martin. It's not just it's Siri. They wanted to
Mm-hmm.
have this everywhere so that they
Yeah.
could get people like I am to pay for ChatGPT.
Yes.
But maybe, and again, I don't know what their expectations were because we weren't involved in the contract negotiations. But maybe the way that Apple designed it into their own interfaces limited the conversion.
Yeah. I think this is
You know what
exactly
I
right.
mean?
Yeah. 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 I think maybe like OpenAI was saying something like I can imagine a business model where OpenAI, what they want is that they want to say, hey, look, if you can use Siri for free, okay, up until some point, but if you want to have access to Siri Premium or Siri Better or Siri Faster or Siri Unlimited, then you need to go to the ChatGPT app, pay for a subscription, and then that would trigger a two-way thing where the subscription in ChatGPT would give more feature to the default iPhone, right? And so then this way they can really track
Right.
what
Right.
is there people who are actually paying for ChatGPT to have more feature into their iPhone, right? And I think that to me that's how it feels like, right? I think they were expecting something like this, and that has never happened, right? We never see on our iPhone a notification that says, hey, if you subscribe to ChatGPT, you will get a better Siri, right? That just doesn't happen. And so I think that's why OpenAI complained. They're like, actually, you have done nothing, basically. You have not done any integration to push subscribers to the ChatGPT app.
Yeah. So one of the other things that I've noticed, Martin, over the
Mm.
last 6 or 7 years, and I've been using Apple operating system for God, almost 30 years now, since the original iMac came out.
Okay.
No, but when it came out, I was excited because one of the things I really disliked about Windows back then, which I had to use at work every single day,
Mhm.
was that I felt like the operating system was treating me like a baby. Are you
Okay.
sure you want to, you know what I mean? All those little dumb questions, all those little dumb pop-ups. And when I first started using Mac OS, excuse me, it didn't do those things.
Okay.
And now because and I'm just trying to run through like what my own experience is, right? But now because Apple's so concerned about privacy, My guess is, and I see this in some places as well, and it probably happens. I pay for ChatGPT, so it never asks me, "Do you want to subscribe?" Because I'm already a paying customer, right? But maybe if you're not, I think on some of my devices, right, I haven't logged in yet as me, but it always asks you, "Can you use this without an account? Do you want to connect a paid account if you want to? Do
Maybe
you have
do.
all this privacy stuff set up?" So it makes it all joking aside between you and me and frictionless and seamless, but still,
Okay, so
maybe
you
one of
mean
the things that they're mad about is the friction. Sorry, go ahead.
you mean there is upsells from Siri to actually sell ChatGPT that
Not just
exists?
Siri, not just Siri. Like when you, I think because there's an app, there's an iOS app
Okay,
on my phone, right? And if
let me
I
try.
if I install it, when I install it, it asks me right at the beginning, "Do you want to?" Like you can see it,
Okay, okay.
yeah. So it says like, "Do you want to sign in with your ID? Can you use this without a thing?" And it just creates friction. And I think people that use Mac OS, at least for me, I don't ask me dumb questions. And I think that's part of maybe the design problem. And part of it is because of Apple's privacy and user control, right? But it makes it weak as a funnel, I think, for signing up new subscriptions
Yep. So I'm
because
trying right
it's
now.
getting in the way of doing it. Go ahead.
Yes. So I'm trying right now, and you're right. Like
And
it is asking for. So what are the top 10 restaurants in Bangladesh? And I want to see like what's the upsell. You know, like that does Siri try to sell me ChatGPT? Okay, it's so stupid. I don't seem to be able to get your current location. You don't need my current location. I asked about Bangladesh. It's
right, I could
very
be on the
specific.
moon, but I could be coming home to Bangkok, and I want to
Oh,
eat
la, la,
dinner
la, la,
tonight.
la, la. So maybe that's why OpenAI is pissed as well. Like you make ChatGPT
Yeah,
look
exactly,
stupid.
exactly.
Okay, let's give it a try. But okay, like we can see that it's not clear, right? Even though we are using Apple devices, like across our entire workflow, right? We use Apple devices every day since years, and we have never been offered an upgrade to ChatGPT, right? And so this is, I think, what OpenAI complains about. They wish Apple would push it more, and they've never done anything like that. And now they're moving to Gemini, so they're like, what are you doing,
Right,
basically?
but Apple also rarely sells other people's products,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
So the
Yeah.
other thing is,
Exactly. I
and
agree.
I think this is the other thing that's making OpenAI mad, is
Mm.
that maybe look, Apple's been in business since the 1970s, right? So
Yeah.
they've done partnerships forever,
Hmm.
and their legal team is probably really good about writing contracts and doing all other
Hmm.
stuff. Whereas OpenAI has only been around since what 2015, but probably
Yeah.
a going concern 2018. So Apple's way more mature and way more sophisticated, and maybe one of the things that they feel maybe a little bit taken advantage of. Like
Hmm.
Apple captured all this strategic upside, like we get to use OpenAI and all the ChatGPT stuff. And you guys thought we were going to be like in a exclusive relationship, and we're dating other people. You know what I mean? Like you never said it was exclusive, neither did we.
Yeah. No, it's true. It's true. You never said explicitly, but we didn't have to. But yeah, no, it's
So
true. It's true. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but I mean, like the chances that OpenAI can do something are super small, right? Like I think this is more like to
So
try to do something, but I don't think that can lead to anything. No.
so again, Martin, this is another really great question. Is
Mm.
this really like, are they really suing,
Yeah.
or are they threatening to sue so they can get some kind of
Attention.
negotiation leverage? Or well, I mean, attention, they always want attention, but they are they doing this for negotiation to just over platform power? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like who has the leverage? Because to
But
me
if
it looks more like a leverage grab than anything else. No?
mm-hmm. Yeah, to me it was like more like an attention grab because Apple knows what they are doing. I really believe that they know better than OpenAI. OpenAI is all over the place. They are doing so many different things, right? And so they are just trying to, hey, we are here, once again. But once again, we are not talking about the product. This is really the
Right.
problem to me, right?
Yeah.
They, yeah, they,
Yeah.
this type of thing, right? It hurts the brands. It's really, really bad for the brand, and it once again, it's completely take the narrative, take the discussion outside of the product. And this is bad.
What
This
are
is
we
really,
doing? I
really bad.
know.
Like, even if it's true, even if OpenAI want to sue Apple, they should not focus on that. They should not talk about that at all. I don't know who is
Well,
doing their
because
comms, right? But It
Yeah,
sucks.
like
Like
you
they
do know
should.
who's doing their comms. Those guys at TBPN are doing their comms. What do they know? Here's the thing, though, Martin.
It's
Here's
bad.
the thing.
It's bad.
We don't the contract that Apple signed with OpenAI is not public.
Hmm, hmm.
And in a lawsuit like this, I'm led to believe if they say breach of contract, they would have to show that they had specific KPIs
Yeah.
or obligations that they had to meet. It's not clear to us what those are. But if they're just like disappointed,
Hmm. Exactly.
do you know what I mean? Like we expected more people to sign up because it was in the App Store,
Yeah.
is different than like you said you were going to do these things and you didn't do those things. Now we don't know because we don't know what it says in the contract, but it feels to me this is more like we expected more people to sign up and they didn't, so it's your fault kind of thing.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly, exactly, and so that's why I said I don't think there's any foundation to that, right? Once again, we can be wrong. We don't have all the details, but with the information available to us as of today, it looks like there's not much substance to these threats, right? To me, and so which means why is just OpenAI talking about it, right? Like, I think they just shouldn't once again like have OpenAI associated with this type of discussion. They should talk about the product because the product is good, and we never talk about it, and that's bad.
So
That's bad.
that opens the next question, Martin, for
Mhm.
me.
Mhm.
Do you think that we could help OpenAI
Oh, for sure.
with their communication
Oh, for
strategy?
sure. I mean, I know exactly what to do. If I was the head of marketing or head of PR at OpenAI, I know exactly what to do. We would talk about the
Same.
product, and we would
Just
not do
constantly
any
talk
of
about the
that.
product and don't let any kind of peripheral, like I would never talk about a lawsuit publicly ever. And if
No,
somebody asked me about it, I would just say we don't discuss ongoing
but
litigation.
and not at this stage, right? Like, look, they are under fire with Sam Altman, massive fire. It's been like 2 or 3 months, right? That's like massive,
Mhm.
massive, massive, constant fire, right? You cannot add one more thing by yourself, right? Like why you fuel
Nope.
yourself the fire against you, right? Because even if they win, even if it's good or bad, once again we are not talking about the product, and this is bad. Like you cannot get market shares, you cannot bring developers in, you cannot like grow your business if the only thing that you are talked about is the lawsuit and this problem and this guy who does this bad thing and all of that. No, you dare to talk about innovation. You dare to talk about how the new thing that you are launching. You dare to talk about the benefit that people are going to get through AI, right? Like, and now OpenAI is always associated with problems constantly, right?
So I
And
want to make I want to make a couple of comparisons if you
mhm,
don't mind.
go ahead.
I want to do two of them actually. One is with their current um, partner in this, which is Apple.
Hmm, hmm.
Apple gets sued all the time by
Oh, yeah,
people,
for sure.
and Apple also sues people all the time, but they never go out and talk about it. And if people ask them about it, they always say, like, we're not going to comment on ongoing litigation. And I
Yeah,
can't believe that there's no dispute between Anthropic and some existing partner
yeah, I'm sure.
because nobody's perfect, but we don't know about it because no one talks about it.
Yes, exactly. Because when it comes to Anthropic, we always talk about the product
Product.
all the time,
That's
right?
it.
It's always about the product. It's never about Dario. It's never about the lawsuit. It's never about this or that. Sometimes we say good thing about the product. Sometimes we say bad thing about the product, like yesterday,
It's
for
about the
example.
product.
But
Yeah.
it's always about the product, always, right? And
Exactly.
OpenAI, I mean, I would understand if OpenAI was so far behind with the product and they had to get attention,
Yeah.
right? Like, for example, when they launched
Right.
ChatGPT in November 2022 and the product was not that good, they had to talk about something. They had to launch first, right? And it was so important for them to be the first mover to the market because all the other guys, the Google and the AWS and everybody else, was huge, right? And they were the small guys. So at this point, it made sense, right? But as of today, it's not the case. GPT 5.5 codecs are great products. They can
Great
compete
products.
on the
Super great
markets, right?
products.
They can, as a developer, as a user, you can use ChatGPT and get things done. You can use codecs and get things done. You can use GPT 5.5 and do the same thing that you would do in Anthropic Cloud. There is not that much difference, right?
No.
So
No.
let's talk about the products. We need to talk
Exactly.
about all of these stories. This is so important. We need to stop this narrative about these crazy things.
We can help.
We can
definitely
help.
So
If people at
one
OpenAI is
one more
listening.
exactly. If anybody at OpenAI is listening, let us help you on messaging, please. We got this,
Exactly.
man. Um, Do you think this impacts the way Apple, and you and I have been talking about this for a while, but do you think this impacts the way Apple uses their 2.5 billion devices to do to continue this model of like we are just a massive distribution channel for
No.
X, whatever X is?
If Apple hadn't announced the partnership with Gemini, so if that had come first and then Apple was reacting by changing partners, I would have said yes, but that's not the case. Apple already have their plan. They already said we're gonna work with Gemini, right? So they already know what they are doing. So it's like it's like the ex girlfriend who say, "Hey, me, you forgot about me, right?" And Apple moved on, right? It's sad but true, right? It's sad but true for OpenAI.
They moved on. I love the way you're doing this. I agree with you.
Apple moved on,
I
and
agree.
they moved on a long time ago, right? It's not the last 2 weeks. It's
Mm.
not 2 days ago. They announced the Gemini partnership like a couple of months ago, and that doesn't happen overnight. So they've been working on that for quite some time, right?
Yeah.
Plus, probably have a very good relationship with Google already, so it's probably like easier to get that type of deal done. Also, I feel Michael here like one of the big things is, I think one of
Go
the
ahead.
is probably the inner management of the company. Like OpenAI is not as structured as Google is, and Apple might prefer the professionalism and the structure of Gemini,
So
because
this was the
let's
point I was trying to make
yeah
a few
yeah.
minutes ago, but
Uh,
go ahead. Yeah.
And I think here there must be some of that going on, because Gemini is definitely not as good as GPT. Definitely not. You can do way more stuff with GPT than you can with Gemini. But Google is way more stable, and they have an organization that looks like the organization of Apple, with a stable CEO, with like VPs and head of something, and tons of people globally. That is a professional large organization, and OpenAI is not like this, right? So I can imagine Apple trying to be willing, to work with OpenAI. We worked way too much like a startup, and Apple being like, you know what, it's too hard for us to adapt to this culture and to adapt to this type of thing.
Right. So I'm gonna make one more
Hmm.
point and see what you think about this.
Tell me.
Maybe
Hmm.
maybe OpenAI has what I'll call um, agreement remorse,
Okay.
generally known as buyer's remorse, where they're like, "Oh shucks, maybe we shouldn't have signed that deal with Apple because maybe OpenAI is saying Apple has all the benefits of this. We don't get any benefit of it that we can control necessarily,
Yeah.
and." They also either acquired or agreed to partner with Johnny Ive. You remember Johnny Ive, yeah?
Yeah.
Apple's who used to be the head of design at Apple. So Johnny Ive has this company, a design firm called Love From, whatever, it doesn't
Yes.
matter.
Yes.
But they are collaborating with OpenAI to create artificial intelligence hardware.
Hmm. Hmm.
And these are supposed to be consumer devices to reimagine how humans interact with computers, blah, blah, blah. So I'm not saying it's going to be like that pin thing that was out there and all these other things, but maybe they're like, shucks, we've got 135 or 200 million users already. If we could do the reverse instead of relying on Apple, but we rely on ourselves to build the hardware products, and we have Johnny Ive design them because we know they're going to be cool.
Hmm.
And we know the videos that Johnny Ive are going to be super cool, where he does that like real British thing, no hair. Um, maybe they're like, shucks, maybe we shouldn't have signed that deal. And now they're trying to get a way to squirm out of it. I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Okay, yeah, maybe, yeah, maybe there's a lot of things going on, but definitely not like a lawsuit was gonna end up somewhere. I don't think so, right?
No,
Like,
talk about the product.
yeah,
This is the
and
key.
talk about the product. I think this is the key. Talk about all the great things that your product can do, right? Because it is great, it is good. So why we don't talk about the product, Michael? I don't know, because they are not working with us. We need to be the head of PR and head of marketing globally
Head of,
at
head of
OpenAI.
comms globally. Call me.
Exactly.
Um, okay,
Anyway,
let's move on to our next topic. How does that sound?
let's do it.
Because I want to get to our third topic. I don't want to go
Yes,
to
me
bed
too.
again. I don't want to. Sorry, shut down the stream without talking about our third topic. Okay, Cerberus.
Yes.
So Cerberus stock spiked. They had a very powerful debut on Nasdaq. Um, the stock IPO'd at $185 a share. Actually, let's just do this. And it traded. I think it closed yesterday at $310 or something. It's
Oh
around
wow.
302.50 now. It was as low as 280 today. This type of stuff, Martin, is very normal. Let's give some background first, though, right?
Okay.
So Cerberus IPO, it's a really big. This is a big deal, I think, and it's a big signal